Hello everybody, it is the start of a new series. It's a best of 5 between Serral and ByuL. A ZvZ, Europe versus Korea on North America.
Meeting in the middle ground on NA Central should be a fun one, and well, we'll get started. In the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player representing BaseTradeTV. Give it up for ByuL.
In the bottom right is the red Zerg. It is Serral. Alright,
okay, well, got a 12 pool.
With the drone scout. This is usually never just a drone scout if it's an early pool. It's usually meant to build a spine crawler.
You think so?
There's no other reason really to scout with an early drone if you're going for an early pool. Now, if Serral had gone for a hatchery and drone scouted, then it makes a little bit more sense, but...
What if this is the mind game? Because nobody would ever drone scout if you were going for a 12 pool.
You're totally right, man. Now, it'd be funny if it was. I mean, seeing a drone scout, I think I would be put at ease. Like, alright, well, that's... Well, I'd be like, wait, is my opponent, like, not a ZvZ player? Because it's so unnatural, right? But I'm sure Serral's giving ByuL more credit than that. But ByuL scouts and decides, well, first of all, he's not going to make any lings, even though he can do it a lot faster than Serral can, and instead just goes for the queen. He's still going to have faster speed, as he almost has 100 gas all ready to go, but he didn't commit to the attack.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting middle-of-the-road style of, if I can end you right now, I will, but I see that I can't, so I'll just try and transition out as best as possible, so I'm not as far behind as I would have been.
Yeah. Super weird to see that happen. Eventually, Serral will figure out what it was about as well. As he, Overlord will see the hatcheries like pretty late, and he'll be like, okay, so first of all, that must have been an early pool, and then second of all, might be a little bit worried that ByuL has been stockpiling lings, because again, his ling speed will be so much faster.
Yeah, absolutely. 6 of the Zergans are going to be moving their way around the map and trying to get something done. ByuL's Link should be out in time to really defend his natural expansion, but as you were saying, yeah, this is the moment where Serral realized, wait a second, your hatchery is super late, but you didn't actually send any lings across the map. You can immediately see Serral pulling back, maybe thinking, okay, is this like a ling baneling all in? Is it that you made lings and you're making the banelings right now? But I think it's going to be a little bit longer until Serral realizes exactly what he's up against. Or I should say, what he's not up against right now.
Yeah, this will be a weird game for him. Thank you to Dan Holton for the 10-month resub. I think I haven't missed that many, really. Maybe Therodin, 5-month resub, a bit earlier on. Thank you very much for the resub subs, and of course the bits that we got with Ice Wolfie still being in the bit boss chair.
Okay, well, a massive flood of lings come out, and Serral is prepared for this because he was paranoid about the fact that there was such a late natural. He has lings out, but they do not have speed just yet. The queen plus his lings, though, should be enough to deal with this.
Yeah. And even if this doesn't work out quite as ByuL wanted, he still is up in workers, and still has some time to remake those lings. He sees Serral's ling speed kick in. He saw the baneling nest was finishing up too. He's got to be careful because he won't have his own banelings, of course. But there is a defense here.
Yeah, does he have quite as many Zerglings as Serral has? Serral's up to 23 versus just the 8 of ByuL. ByuL's making some more, but those banelings numbers plus, of course, the ling numbers really make this a scary position for ByuL.
Yeah, it does.
This is the queen. 6 banelings coming on in. This is going to get really scary right now. And, wow, he's not even going to try and defend.
Yeah. I mean, it was going to have to be a very clutch hold without your own banelings, and them really committing to it. So I said there was a defense, but it wasn't, I wasn't liking one, and we can see why. Just overwhelmed. I thought he was gonna be. I thought ByuL was gonna hold his ramp on the main ramp actually with his 2 queens. But he said,
yeah, it would have been an okay place to maybe retreat back to. With the destructible rocks there, it's effectively like the same thing if your opponent doesn't come in from the other angle. So
yeah, but he didn't have 2 queens. He had a queen and lings. Right?
That's true.
Oh, crazy. Yeah.
He didn't have his second queen.
Yeah, the second queen had popped out. Like that was a big problem of it too. But ByuL tried something wonky, it didn't work, and Serral, we didn't really get to hype him up too much because ByuL opened up with such an early pool. But Serral has been just like dominating on European ladder, and you know what European ladder is? It's fucking ZvZ. So, I mean, if this guy, you know, even 3-1s ByuL, I don't know about 3-0, but if 3-1s ByuL, I would be like, yeah, okay.
Yep. All right. Well, we get ready to hop into our next game once the lobby is all set up. It's going to be on Cactus Valley. It seems like should be an interesting one.
I don't think I've played a game on this yet, or cast a game on this yet.
On Cactus Valley?
I don't think I've cast a game on this today. Shut up, Fear Dragon. Like
I was like, this is in the map pool for a very long time, not just this season.
But no, I mean, there's been a lot of games today, and I don't remember any of them on Cactus Valley. Are you in? Oh, okay, you're in here. We both have different portraits on A.
I got that trigger finger.
We both have carve-out portraits on NA.
Yeah. Well, Carpet's recently released that video. Highly recommend people go check it out. It's pretty damn funny. It's all about zealots. I love the zealots. I got so much zealot love.
I love the infestors, the derp festers. All right. In the top right, once again going for an early pool. It is the red Zerg ByuL.
And his opponent sitting in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, sitting up 1-0. It's the blue Zerg player, Serral.
No drone scout this time. That's such a weird thing to look at. I really wonder if that was worthwhile. But no gas either. Just the opener.
Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit of a different early pool from the last game. And I'm always fascinated when I see the kind of early pools on 4-player maps because there's a bit of a risk involved. You don't necessarily know where your opponent scouted. And oftentimes, if you don't get the first Overlord scout, which ByuL is not going to get that first Overlord scout correct, second Overlord eventually makes it to your opponent's side of the map, but with these spawns, he's going to have to wait until he gets all the way into the main base. Can't even like look for the natural expansion. So sometimes Zerg players will just send their lings to the cross spawn position, kind of like cutting their losses.
Yeah.
And then that will work out even worse for ByuL in this situation.
Yeah, he might send them to cross, you're right, but he'll see the Overlord of Serral soon enough.
Ah, that's true.
And then he'll realize where to go. So it's like, it's seconds differences, but that's, you know, something that's very important. Serral repositions. He saw that it was a later hatchery, but it is a hatchery, so at least knows that it's not a gas committed early pool. And it looks like Serral went for his own pool first build, so he's really not that far behind on lings and a queen. If he really got desperate and really wanted to save this hatchery, which he should, he could pull the drones.
Yeah, doesn't actually have... Okay, he has 4 more lings on the way, but he is going to have to pull the drones if he wants to save this. He might have actually pulled 4 or 5 seconds too late because that hatchery is really low on health. I think the lings are going to just go after the drones and the lings because he knows he has superior numbers. But he's going to be able to get this.
Yeah, that would be really good for ByuL if he did. A queen's going to come in and help. The drones have yet to die. Finally, one goes down. But the lings of Serral are so weak. He's trying to get some more. The drones could go back to mining if there weren't just so many lings. And more drones have to be pulled to hold this.
Okay, well, he's going to lose more of those drones as well. And, oh, God, the Zergans, they're all so low. So I don't actually think they can get the hatchery anymore. This may have been a quasi-successful defense for Serral, but it definitely comes at a pretty big cost.
Yeah, it's worse for him. Like, this is one of those rare situations where really no one else has anything else going. Well, okay, no, hold on, never mind. So I was going to say, no one else has anything going for them, but Serral was mining gas, apparently. So that is the trick. Like, if they both had no gas and equal hatchery timings, and ByuL was up 4 drones, and obviously that's easy to tell who got the lead from that, but because Serral has speed already on the way, and ByuL isn't going for gas at all, that speed can translate into a faster third or more secure drone buildup. And I think that could make up for the drone losses. Yeah,
one kind of common transition from this sort of play from ByuL is that you've had your queens for a little bit longer, so you have the opportunity to get the creep stride going, and you can do the full evolution chamber, roach horn, wall, and yeah, that's exactly what he's gonna do. You grab some extra gas guys and try and play a little bit of catch up on gas, and you just get your upgrades and go for a +1 roach attack after this. And oftentimes the Zerg player that was on the defensive will just say, okay, they'll scout that out and think, let me just go for a faster third, and I'll just try and beat this with a superior economy.
Yeah. And that is the game they're both going to play. They both, I think, realize their situation. Serral is going to go for his own roach horn instead of that faster third. But he does still have speedlings. I mean, unless he canceled speed, he has like 5 seconds to do it. No. He still has speedlings to try and counter and buy time and still, you know, potentially get a faster, more secure third. And there's his going down now, but he's also going to be looking at, you know, for ByuL's to make sure he doesn't get one without him realizing it.
Yeah, I think the speedlings, even just in low numbers, can be so annoying to deal with when you're trying to establish a third in ZvZ, because on Cactus Valley especially, your third expansion can feel very far away, and just lings constantly coming in, and if you're doing a good job paying attention to that drone moving out, just killing it off, even sacrificing a few lings for it, will oftentimes just heavily delay your opponent's third. That's the reason why the player that's on the defensive that has Zergling speed will oftentimes be able to get up that third expansion substantially earlier than your opponent.
Serral going for a Carapace, not +1 missile attacks. Interesting.
Well,
His lings are looking for that third base. He's looking for the drone now.
Ooh, Transfuse goes down on the drone.
It's funny, but it really is annoying to lose that drone.
It's extremely annoying. If nothing else, it's a nice psychological win to keep that drone alive and get the third down.
Yeah. Alright, so creep spread being sent out here now is going to be... I mean, it's going to be important for both parties. They're both going into roaches officially, but a little more for the person without speedlings. Roach speed's going to be in favor of ByuL. Makes sense since he's the only one that has a lair. Much, much faster than Serral's. And if Serral wasn't getting an upgrade, I'd actually be talking about maybe like a potential all-in here, trying to catch ByuL off guard. But with the upgrade, I don't think it's quite the same. He's not going to have an army lead.
Yeah, what do you think about the Carapace upgrade from Serral? Because oftentimes in ZvZ, it's like the missile attack upgrade is what lets you transition. It gives you a nice kind of edge in the early stages, but it also loans you a bigger edge when you get a +2 missile attack in the later stages. But +1 Carapace is more of a, I'm going for a big early attack, and I want to end the game there. Yeah,
you usually don't see these Roach Ravager Ling attacks have +1 Carapace, but he's timing out very nicely, definitely intentional. And he could catch ByuL off guard, but I just talked about how I'd find that suspicious, because their armor size really aren't so different. Just their upgrades are slightly different.
I guess it's just the fact that he has the Ravagers in the mix, and he also has a lot of lings that, with +1 Carapace, even versus +1 missile attack, they will soak up a lot of shots versus those roaches. So it's kind of like that big frontline buffer, but a couple of lings going for a counterattack, slow lings going for a counterattack. I was gonna get cleaned up very quickly.
Yeah. But now Serral, okay, he has an upgrade and he has all these lings. He doesn't have a lair still, and if he was to really just try and say, oh, okay, that didn't work, let's macro, like, he'd have to be getting it right now, along with a second upgrade, but he's still stuck on what he has. Thing is, ByuL, I think, is... Well, he's officially without scouting now. Like, the last Overlord has died over here, and the Overseer's just gonna go to the main base, see if there's a lair. You know, seeing the lack of a lair, though, still tells him, I guess he's attributing everything that he has to his army. And all ByuL has to do is not make 15, 20 drones, basically. I think. I think if he makes 2 or 3, which he just did, is okay. Now he has that drone lead. But he still has upgrades, and he still has Defender's Advantage. I don't know. It's going to be up to see what these lings can do.
Okay, well, here we go. Ravagers throwing down some good corrosive vials, but none of them really connecting just yet. In fact, killing some of his own lings, but he does get into a decent surround with some of them, at least. He is progressing over here. The problem is, after he runs out of Zerglings, he's not going to have that frontline buffer. He needs to get all the damage done in now, because afterwards, those roaches are going to be going after those Ravagers. Yeah,
that's exactly what's happening, too. ByuL has a lot more roaches on the way, but he is losing out in the war so far. 17 more I think that might just about do it, but Serral, of course, flooding with lings that have at least one upgrade.
He's gonna kill the Roach Warren. That's gonna actually halt the reinforcements. +1 weapons be damned. It doesn't matter if you don't have any roaches out. He just has to take care of the ones that are out right now, and he's gonna continue to reinforce like you were saying.
Yeah. But ByuL had already made almost 20, so they just need to trickle out here. The lings are adding such a complicated problem. They're barely protecting their Ravagers as ByuL tries to target them down. At least them as roaches open to be surrounded, but all the lings are gone now. The waves weren't fast enough. I think ByuL might have held. He still has that 5 worker advantage. He's about to have +2, but he can't make any roaches still.
Yeah.
Yeah, if only
this is a
Serral
really
had,
weird situation.
like 30 lings, I think maybe that would have done it.
Yeah, but you have to also remember +2 missile attack just finished up. Now that +1 missile attack that ByuL had earlier, not that ByuL had earlier, that Serral had earlier, is completely negated. +1 Carapace just doesn't do anything in this game anymore.
Well, Serral not only tap out, but usually would be a point to do so. He has, again, decent army supply, like you're saying. Those upgrades are now really crucial. Gets into the 3rd base, but this is nice damage. It's not taking too much away from the front.
Yeah, at least evens up the worker count again, so maybe ByuL can make something happen, but I don't know how I feel about him. It's such a hard decision, right? Because do you push in over here when you do technically have a slightly you're slightly down in supply? I don't know.
Well, I think Serral might have played any point into not a decent macro game, but like a macro game that could have been another option for him. I think that time is kind of gone now. Like, he doesn't have a lair still, so he's not gonna have roach speed, and he's gonna be capped on upgrades as his +1 finishes. He won't, unless he wants to get melee, which I guess he could. And ByuL, I love this. I mean, if he had this earlier, there would be no contest. But now with Banelings, he still has slow lings. But if Banelings connect even decently with the lings that Serral have been flooding, it completely negates Serral's only advantage in his speedlings.
Yeah. Honestly, what I want to see out of Serral, and I think he should know the situation he's in. He knows that he's really down far behind in upgrades. And he's getting a +1 missile attack now to try and play a little bit of catch up. But, okay, well, Ling counterattacks is one really good way to kind of buy time, but I want to see some sort of like Hail Mary tech, whether it be a Spire, whether it be an Infestation Pit, whether even just be Burrow or something to continue to do counterattacks and pick away at the economy of ByuL. I feel like we need to see something out of him. Right now, I don't see anything besides just Ling counterfloods.
Yeah, well, the only thing you get out of that list is Burrow, because he still doesn't have a lair.
Oh, God. Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah. That's the first thing I thought, if he had any idea about transitioning, the first thing I thought he was going to get would have been lair, and then +1 attack. But only just now starting that, so his roach is still slow. I mean, Ravagers or whatever, those are fine. But the roach is still slow, and as I said, no upgrades unless he wants to upgrade melee.
And this is a dangerous spot because we now have 25 roaches right now, and 13 Ravagers, sure, for Serral. He's up against 58, more than double the number of roaches against from ByuL. ByuL comes in with a full surround, giving absolutely no chance for Serral to escape out of here. And Serral tries to retreat down to that 3rd, but he eats a couple of corrosive vials in the meanwhile. He's losing all of his roaches, and very soon he's going to be losing his 3rd and most likely the game.
Yeah. I mean, it almost works. 20 more lings at the right time, and he barely overpowers ByuL's defenses.
GG. And yeah, I have to agree. It's not even just 20 more lings to me. It was, if those lings had been able to get even a slightly better surround, because a lot of them were choked up trying to get in on top of his opponent's roaches and everything. I feel like ByuL did a really nice job of kind of halting them from really getting into a good position. I feel like that could have actually been also enough. Even just slightly better positioning could have turned that game completely on its head and ended it right then and there. But really solid job by ByuL.
ByuL defends and ties up the series. We're going to go into a commercial break, however, as the next lobby is set up. Alright, we gotta do the intros fast, as there was a bit of an early pool. The top left is the blue Zerg, is ByuL. Shit.
In the bottom right, we have the screwed up camera. It's the red Zerg player Serral with the early pool and a gas and a Baneling nest. Oh boy, on Paladino Terminal.
What'll happen? Ah, I mixed it up.
You know what a trick is you can do? Tap 1 twice and then hit E.
Oh yeah, I figured that out. That you can just go to someone else's camera who isn't stuck and fix it.
Ah, yeah.
But I forgot, so I'll try to remember next time. Anyway, yeah, early pool, complete all in here from Serral. Now, ByuL is prepared for the possibility. After all, it's Paladino Terminal. First time we've seen this today as well, I believe. So he has his own earlier pool. But I think that hatchery might just be a goner here.
Yeah, probably not long for this world. ByuL could technically try and pull workers over here, but doesn't seem to be doing it just yet.
I didn't realize that Serral didn't go for speed, so while it looks like it's the complete all-in, and while it still is very dedicated, he has the minerals to get his own hatchery. So this cancel, pretty important here, and then he might be able to contain ByuL otherwise.
Yeah, so that Baneling nest really does complicate things as soon as he makes a few of them. And remember, ByuL doesn't exactly have vision of where those Banelings will probably be made, so we already have 2 out on the map right now. But he's not being aggressive with them. Interesting. Oh, wait. Oh, he's going to try and... I think he's going to try and ambush those lings.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, ByuL is getting speedlings, and eventually he's going to try and move out and test the waters. Because, you know, it's kind of odd to see... Well, So ByuL's vision, he just saw what looked to be a gasless pool tear down his hatchery. In which case he's like, okay, I guess I'll take that loss. He didn't try and pull the drones. Because if he did, that's when the Banelings roll in. But, well, the point was, he thought it was a gasless pool maybe, and that was a big surprise right there. So, knowing there's Banelings and still maybe now uncertain, like, is there speed? Is there going to be speed? Throws on his own Baneling nest.
Okay, well, here we go. Ling's trying to move around and trying to find an opportunity to move in, but I believe he's seen the Banelings now, right?
Well, the one that killed a lot of Lings.
Yeah.
Plus,
yeah. Definitely noticed that.
Yeah, I think he did. No, I think he also saw one Baneling at the front. And plus, it's just, it's too dangerous to run up a ramp without... Yeah.
Well, he's getting up his own Baneling nest, so should be able to kind of bounce back and recover a little bit. Both of their hatcheries are now finished up, and they're on relatively even worker counts, so even though there are more Banelings out right now for Serral, which is definitely a nice little advantage, ByuL has quite a bit of gas banked up, and I feel like the game is kind of evened out.
Kind of looks that way. If ByuL had tried to save his hatchery, pulled the drones, because his pool was a little bit later, then Serral might have already won this game with 2 really good Baneling hits. But because ByuL is willing to give that up and didn't dedicate to an attack, otherwise he would have lost all of his Lings. Yeah, I think it evens out. Serral's also getting Zergling speed as well as a Roach Warren.
Yeah.
That's where I was going.
You know, Zergling speed can definitely be useful in helping to defend against your opponent. But okay, here we go. Evolution Chamber coming on up for ByuL. He wants to move this into kind of the later stages of the game. Gets up his own Roach Warren. But yeah, I really don't hate getting up Zergling speed. I just feel like it's a nice utility thing to have, even flooding out Lings later on after going for an attack. Just get the reinforcements there faster.
Agreed. But it is going to Roach versus Roach. Now the question is, will anyone try and fit in a Spire? It's already a dangerous thing to do on the bigger maps, but especially on Paladino. If they're already prepping for an attack, or they realize you're going for a Spire after your Roach Warren, and thus attack, you don't have a lot of time to defend and build your Spine Colors and get your Roaches. So I imagine it's just going to be literally Roach versus Roach. See who can get their third base a little bit quicker.
Yeah, ByuL looked like he wanted to throw down a Spine Crawler for a second, but he ended up canceling and maybe feeling confident enough that not really going to be too afraid of what's coming out right now from Serral. But he is getting up that +1 missile attack around the same time as his opponent, so it really is looking like a pretty even game. The only kind of big difference is that much faster layer timing right now for ByuL.
That's a good point.
Okay, well, these Lings managed to kill a queen, getting on top of the drones as well. Bailey does come in, cleans up all of them.
Barely caught that. Okay, so faster third versus faster layer. There we go. Finally, ByuL throws it down. I mean, they're not quite at that drone count that absolutely needs a third base to transfer over to, but they want to get there pretty soon. And of course, Larva might be an issue as the game goes forward as well. Serral banking a lot of money, and a little bit of gas, but mostly money. I wonder if he had missed Larva injects or what, but I think it's just a consequence of the later gases these guys took.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess from here it does become that sort of weird split map situation where it's really difficult to engage with roaches unless you're on your opponent's side of the map through that center choke point. And a lot of positional play becomes really, really important because it's also easy to get choked up inside your natural. Opponent comes in to attack your third. If you're inside of your natural expansion, then suddenly you're moving through a choke point to defend your third, and you're at a huge disadvantage. So positioning is going to be really important. And it looks like ByuL already has a really nice concave going for him in this game.
ByuL starts his fight off with +1. Serral still has like 10 seconds left on his, and that's a big difference. He's desperately trying to pull the queens to help out here, but ByuL might have just hit the perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect timing with not only his upgrades, but also just having, again, like better positioning. And he's starting to snowball a good bit.
Yeah,
way more roaches. The Spinecrawler tries to reburrow, but I don't think it's going to get a chance to really do a whole lot over here. Even a Ravager in the mix, adding in some corrosive ByuL DPS, taking out the Spinecrawler in a matter of seconds. But no, GG gets called. ByuL takes game number 3. Brings the series 2-1 in his favor now, and is 1 game away from moving on to that winners match and facing off versus Neeb.
Yes, that is who he is facing. Starting to feel it. The craziness. And the forgetfulness.
Oh. This really, I was telling you about this before, but I really do feel like this is the group of death in Group Stage 2. Because, you know, Group D was pretty strong in a lot of ways. Like, you have Gumiho. I think Blind and Xanster are also really good players, and Mana can always be that wild card, depending on whether or not he shows up. But, like, you have Neeb, the person who just won DreamHack Austin. You have Snoot, who's like foreign hope forever and always. Doesn't always have the best results, but is still always someone you have to be afraid of. Serral's been insanely good on like Europe in general, not only on the ladder, but had a round of 8 finish at DreamHack Austin. And then you have ByuL, like this crazy good Korean. I feel like no matter who you go up against, there's no real like, oh, at least I got the easy matchup, right?
Yeah, it's a tough group. And I think a lot of people agree that it's the group of death.
Yeah. I always wish that the group of death was always Group D.
If only it worked out that way every time.
I mean, you could just rename the letters. It's that easy.
Well,
Your
okay.
tournament organizer, you're just like, okay, we're going to play out Group A, Group B, then we're going to play out Group D, and then we're going to play out Group C.
If only they had rearranged the letters so that it started with A, almost like the alphabet. Whoa, that'd be crazy.
Gonna do Group A, Group 1, Group Roman numeral 1.
Group Fighting Mongooses.
Fighting mongooses.
What do you never say?
I feel like that'd be the 4 ZvZ group. I think Fighting mongooses is probably the closest thing that we have to ZvZ.
That's, yeah, probably. But yeah, they had a lot of schedule accommodations to make. And I was surprised to hear that Kelazur didn't want to do the first group of the day. He was replaced with Xanster.
So I talked with Kelazur in Austin. The reason why I imagine that is because he's not just like sitting at the root house or sitting at home or whatever. He's actually spending time with his dad in San Francisco, or like, sorry, in the San Francisco like Bay Area right now. So I think it's more just he is quote unquote on vacation and he's seeing his family, who he doesn't see very often because he's usually living in a team house or something. And he just wants to make the most of the time. So from that perspective, I totally understand where he's coming from. That's what I think anyways. I'm basing this off of a conversation I had before he decided to drop out.
Yeah, because he played yesterday, which is why I was a little bit concerned. Like, not concerning,
Yeah.
but just interesting. But yeah, it definitely can change your mind if you're in that situation.
He didn't expect to make it out of his group.
Yeah,
so
he's
was
like,
just
oh,
well,
whoa.
whatever.
Yeah. They get a passive crimes for the 34-month resub, but let's do the intros, because I don't think we did.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, in the bottom right is the red Zerg. It is ByuL. Shit.
Every time. And spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player. It's Serral. Hit 1-1 and hit E. There we go.
I got it. Huh. Servers are all smarter than I am.
You're a big girl now. And before you say it, I'm not calling you fat.
I wasn't gonna go that way. Now I'm worried that you're gonna go that way. Ah.
Well, you were paranoid about it earlier when I was calling myself fat, so.
Yeah, you call yourself a chipmunk. It's pretty funny.
Yo, my parents was like constantly, like every day, reinforced when I was a kid that I had chipmunk cheeks. And it is just like the most infuriating thing to hear every single day as a child. Ugh.
Yeah, I imagine
Never do that to your child.
I didn't get called chipmunk cheeks, but I had an aunt that would always pinch my cheeks, and that was pretty annoying.
I could, yeah. I've luckily never had. I think it's a white person thing, because I never hear about. Actually, no. I know Asian families that have grandparents that pinch their cheeks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's not that she would just pinch my my cheeks, but she also found it funny to like pinch like your butt cheek. So I didn't like that either.
Show me on the doll where they touched you.
Okay, so what do we have here? Serral going for third base. ByuL going for just a roach warren. And Elimination Chamber is gonna be content with a later third. Double Evo even. Even.
Yeah. I guess like the faster third for Serral, like you were saying, and versus I guess like the faster teching up with ByuL getting up to double Evo. Double Evo, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, the last one's a roach one. Sometimes you see that triple Evo, and I'm like, one day, the triple upgrade meta of melee, or Carapace, and also +1 missile attack will be a thing, but it's not this day.
StarCraft 3.
Well, I hope it's before. I hope it's within the next 10 years, not StarCraft 3.
It would take them 10 years to make it. Said it right
now. It took
now.
10 years between Brood War and, the last StarCraft 1 expansion.
Well, that was before.
Liberty.
That was like when it was announced too. Like it took 13 years, I think.
No, because Brood War wasn't Brood War 2000?
No, Brood War was 98.
No, it was 98.
Watch
yeah,
a
right.
YouTube video, son.
I did. Sorry, I sometimes mix it up with melee lore.
Oh
Super
god.
Smash with melee lore.
Biggest eye roll ever.
Whatever. Bailing Nest is now finishing up for ByuL. Still got that Evolution Chamber wall-in, but not actually getting a second upgrade, just using the second Evolution Chamber for the wall-in. But we're seeing that Carapace upgrade. So
this, I was like hypothesizing the idea of a fake. So first of all, the second Evolution Chamber is not used very much anyways. You're going roaches or like a speedling attack. But like this looks like something that's going to get to a slower third, which it does. Like that's not a lie. But it also looks like they're not going to attack you. So Serral could have been very, very surprised by this, but instead has Banelings anyway and defends fine.
Oh my god. Well, if you heard that sound effect and you're wondering what happened, I'm not sure if your camera saw it, but ByuL's Lings basically deciding to play the pacifist game, trying to make love, not hate, with Serral's Banelings. But Serral's Banelings also deciding to play the pacifist game. And none of them ended up dying. But very, very close call. Either way, though, there is this nice little window where now ByuL's Lings will survive a Baneling hit. They will survive a Baneling hit with like 1 or 2 health points left over.
Yes, that is very true and very important. Unfortunately, ByuL loses a couple more Banelings than we would have liked, and Serral is not taking this lightly. I think there's a very large chance, in fact, that Serral saw the front line and thought, okay, I guess he's going to go for some roaches. I won't make too many Banelings. I won't make too many Lings. But Serral had, I guess, this idea in mind, and he was already prepared anyways with a plentiful number of units. He's got his lair done. He's got his +1. He's building roaches now, whereas ByuL hasn't quite started yet. Serral's going to see this soon enough.
Well, a few Lings, yeah, make their way into the main base, and I suppose that is how he's going to see pretty much everything. Well, okay. At this point, how do you feel like things shape up after that kind of, I won't say committed aggression, because there was a third expansion behind it, but it's kind of that situation we were talking about before in the last game. I almost said yesterday. It's been such a long day. That's already yesterday for me, but...
Shut up!
Yeah. Man, I'm so tired, Zombie Grub. You don't know what kind of day I've had. I had to cast like 4 games today, or like 5 games. But I was saying, you were talking about the Carapace upgrade. It doesn't really prepare you for the later stages. Now, there is a much faster +1 melee, so he's not too far behind in upgrades, but he is a little bit behind.
Oh, double Spire versus Spire. Okay,
Ooh.
well, no one thinking about their opponent going for it. Let me be thinking about it, but no one's confirmed it. And no Overseers going into the bases like quite yet. We got Banelings coming in here from Serral, gonna get 4 drones, not too shabby, but Lings coming in here. It's right into the Banelings, but they survive the hit.
Oh, yep, that +1 Carapace adding in. Looks like y'all really wanted to try and get something done with a multi-prong attack, but Serral is just way too prepared for this, especially with the Queens adding in for the defense. Gonna be very difficult to make a whole lot happen over here, and ByuL's just gonna back up.
So Serral going for his own Spire is thinking of the possibility that ByuL attacks him with roaches, gets a couple of spine crawlers. ByuL not caring. No, he got to scout into the main base and sell the Spire, so he doesn't produce any spine crawlers. Not that their only use is that emergency defense. They can be helpful later on, but I think that was more the reason why Serral got it. But he has yet to realize what the real scenario is here.
Okay, well, oh boy, this is once again one of those upgrade games that really plays a huge impact. +1 flyer attack for ByuL because he doesn't realize what's happening going up against +1 Carapace because Serral knows what's happening.
Yep. Big difference here. Now Serral also, I think, has a few more roaches. He's trying to defend his 4th base, though, and not all of them are here. He's trying to defend over here as well. Sees the mutas now, ByuL does, but he's already committed to the +1 attack.
I almost wonder if it'd be worth just canceling +1 flyer attack and going for Carapace at this point. I mean, it's not that far. It's kind of far along, but not that far.
Hard decision to make. ByuL has a lot of mutas on the way out. He gets a kill on Serral's base, but Serral is banking almost 1,500 minerals. I don't think he minds too much.
Yeah, that's true. But still, I feel like ByuL was able to get a surprising amount of damage done, I would say, over there. There's still a little bit of concern because he lost a lot of roaches. Probably needs to replenish that as well as also make his mutas right now. But I don't know, maybe he can make something happen. It's a very close muta numbers for both sides, but there is a bit of a defender's advantage. ByuL's mutas are here a little bit faster, and those Gladeworm bounces hitting the Lings instead of just the mutas does give ByuL a slight advantage for now.
Yeah, I mean, when you take a muta initiative, you really got to be confident it's going to work out in your favor, and it just wasn't that confidence. In fact, ByuL had more mutas, even, with defender's advantage kicking in. Gets an Overlord, kills all the roaches. Serral's going to try and deny a 4th base, and that's a good move. His upgrades are entirely off with the Lings, however, and it is going to go to Ling Muta.
Oh, and gets a kill, returns the favor from earlier on. But of course, Serral, with the now faster 4th expansion by a very good bit, it's going to work out really well for him because muta versus muta wars oftentimes comes down to gas income. And the gas income is going to be a lot better when you have a 4th.
That is true. Serral has started his +1 flyer attack as well. He still hasn't caught up in mutas, but that gas income might make that difference. Ling's looking for something to do. They do have better upgrades if it does come down to Ling versus Ling wars.
Oh, but ByuL sees where all the mutas are with his Lings. He can move into the main base with his mutas. May even be able to not only kill off a Queen, but he could actually go after the Spire potentially. Not only cancel the upgrade, but also halt muta production.
Yeah, it just goes and cancel it. Realizes that's going to be down and out, but that's 200, 200, and into another Spire. Plus, of course, all that time. He's losing Ling wars over here. He's desperately trying to get to Infestation Pit as well. Serral is losing this bit by bit.
Yeah, and there's not even an SCV pull, but slowly but surely, ByuL is winning out in the Ling wars. The roaches and the more Lings come flooding on in on the right-hand side. The mutas for Serral do manage to cancel a 4th expansion, so I mean, it's not too bad. Serral does have a much better economy now with that 4th expansion not only being canceled, but fact that he's been mining from his for such a long time, it's not over for Serral just yet.
I can't believe those queens held, and still with a lot of transfuses left over. Serral has just abandoned ship on the idea of a spire. He cancels the one that he had started building and just goes to infestors, roaches, and hydras. But it's such a difficult task to transition into that when the muta count of your opponent is already so high at 34.
Oh, yeah. And this is also where it becomes a really difficult thing to try and judge who can win the fight. Because when you have the defender's advantage of, you know, spore crawlers, or you have queens adding in some extra DPS, sometimes that plus the fact that there are carapace upgrades, or there is a carapace upgrade for Serral's mutas, which is just inherently better in muta versus muta, like, maybe you can take the fight. Maybe one fungal is enough. You don't need it fully chained, but oh, it loses the infestor before it has the energy.
There's a couple more infestors, but they just aren't close to having enough energy. Another 10 seconds was needed here. One Hydra, a handful of queens. Muta versus muta war still going in favor of ByuL.
Oh, but I think it's slowly starting to turn around. The queens add in so much extra DPS. And yeah, sure, ByuL still has more mutas, but he started off that engagement with about 10 mutas ahead, or like around 13, maybe 14 mutas. And he has still about 13, 14 mutas more. Granted, there's no muta reproduction for Serral, but now he has infestors that are starting to build up energy, and he's gonna have fungals.
That is very dangerous. ByuL is not going to try and transition out, but rather add on banelings. Catches most of Serral's mutas, so that's it for that. I mean, they weren't... They couldn't be thrown away, but they also weren't going to be too much more useful at such low numbers.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, they're really nice to just have around to try and see where your opponent's mutas are, because that's the big problem right now. Obviously, we've seen Serral lose his main base. He's going to lose his main base again, and probably going to lose a spawning pool. Ooh, I like this decision. ByuL just kind of leaving a couple of mutas to kill off the hatchery and splitting them up. Splitting up mutas, I think, is something that is heavily underrated with mutas in general.
Well, especially in Ling muta wars, like there's so much going on that it can be difficult to even think about that. And usually it is muta versus muta too, that I just talked about, and you can't really split for that. But against the infestor composition, then yeah, absolutely, if you can get away with it, it is a really cool move.
Okay, well, infestors have burrow, and they're spying out for any potential options of good fungals. There is one overseer out on the map. Is this the only overseer on the map? No, there's two overseers on the map. Another one is sitting behind the 3rd and 4th expansions of Serral, though, so I don't know how much scouting it's really going to be doing for the infestors. Oh god, the infestors getting close to those mutas. The overseer is not actually too close by. Oh my god, gotta be careful. Fungals! Oh, it's a pretty good clump to catch.
Where's the reinforcements? There they are. So those mutas are going to die. Now, ByuL did start a transition away from mutas, not just with the banelings, but also with his own hydras. And he still has the roach warren from earlier. You don't see many games go from roach versus roach to muta versus muta back into roach versus roach.
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy and intense series. And remember that Serral, despite his kind of hard position where he lost his main base, he's sitting, oh my god, he's gonna be able to catch all the mutas again. No, he doesn't throw out the fungals in time. He was just going to his own like a watchtower. I was gonna say, remember, ByuL is up 2-1. If he wins this game, he goes on to the winner's match, and Serral will lose the series, and all the hard effort put into the ZvZ is gonna go for naught.
Yeah. Now the loser of this just goes to the loser's match against Snoot, so another chance. And I think Snoot might be worried. Either opponent would be quite scary.
Yeah, nice Ling counterattack over at the 3rd at the same time. The mutas go over to the natural, and the roaches and hydras go to the 4th. But since Serral is able to defend at least one of those bases, the 4th will stay alive. The mutas and the lings ravage the other expansions, though.
Denies an upgrade. Oh, should deny an upgrade. Gets the hydras instead. These are cleaned up, but upgrade.
Gladeworm bounces, kill it in time.
Alright, that's nice. ByuL was, I guess he's technically even at 1-1 versus 2-0, so, alright, yeah, that's pretty good that he got it.
I think 2-0 is better, though, because the Carapace upgrade and Roach, and actually, it may play a bigger impact when you talk about Hydras and stuff and reducing their DPS.
Yeah, there's so
and
many
Roach versus
now.
Roach Wars. Yeah. But okay, well, Queen's actually getting killed without transfuses. Serral finally pops in on those. Really needs every unit he has to stay alive because he's going to lose his Road Torn. He's just, oh, nice transfuses. Going to keep it alive. But he really is just bleeding out units and doesn't have an economy to reproduce them.
Well, ByuL decides to go for his Carapace upgrade. Not an attack. He is still down by 20 army supply, and that's just because they, different number of workers means that Serral will have that bigger army supply when they max out. But ByuL has lurkers. I don't know if Serral can really deal with lurkers. I don't think he knows about them is the main problem. I think if he knew about them, out-positioning them, getting a good concave, corrosive biling them, there are options. But I don't think he knows.
Oh boy, this is going to get really, really difficult. Muta's continuing to just dismantle the economy of Serral, finally just trading out to free up supply more than anything else. Serral's going for it. He's got to effectively win with this push. There's no real hope of a comeback after this.
Lurk is very awkwardly placed as ByuL had to decide real quick where he wanted to defend, where he thought Serral was going to attack into, but Serral goes for the right side of the map. There is a base that could just easily be canceled, but as you said, it's an all-in situation. You cancel this, but it gives time for ByuL to reposition, and that wasn't worth it.
Well, expansion gets killed off, and Serral's going to try and continue to push on in. There's so many lurkers. I guess a couple of good fungal growths will reveal the lurkers. He also has an Overseer. He needs to be careful with that Overseer. It's kind of important right now. I'm getting cold.
Those aren't bits.
Those are not bits. It's Final Fantasy theme, but it's not bits.
Yeah. I think he saw the lurkers earlier than this, I believe, so he was prepared and just escaped their attack before it was too late. I think that's the case.
Actually he pulled all of them over to the 4th. He might be able to move into the National now.
Oh, that's a good point. But I believe that was the case not just because I saw like an Overlord die off to the left, but also because he immediately slapped down a Spire, seemingly in response to seeing the lurkers. And, well, I think that might be a good response. He barely has an economy, but it still is running.
Damn, some really good fungal growth going down, locking in a lot of these units at the choke point. Managed to escape on out of there without really losing too much army supply. ByuL immediately remaxes any of the supply that he just lost, but there's a Hive Tech finishing up. Serral has that Spire again, and even though it doesn't have a great economy, if he can just continue to bide time, he may be able to make something happen, but he's taking a main engagement. I don't know if he can escape out of it very easily.
Well, the lurkers are burrowing, but Corrosive Bile is still available, but those two lurkers are getting so much damage.
Those two lurkers doing insane amounts of damage, and even though not as many units dying from those two lurkers, so many of them are softened up, and there aren't too many infestors left over either. Serral still needs to buy more time to make use of this hive. Even getting out some Vipers or something would be useful.
Yeah, he's not going to try and go for that Greater Spire. His army supply is still up by a good 30. I mean, he can definitely take a fight here as he, again, needs a concave and needs to see those lurkers and corrosive bile them. But he's missing... well, the fungals are way back there, and he's missing that really golden opportunity of a concave. His hatchery's kind of in the way. He's just going to abandon ship on it.
Okay, well, hatchery goes down. Some more fungal growths coming out. Serral has some more infestors to work with. Some transfuses also trying to keep this army alive, but losing that expansion really does hurt. I guess the funny thing is, ByuL also is really hurting economically. He's down to just 4 mineral patches, and these mineral patches only have 500 minerals left on them.
Yeah, that's not a lot of mining.
Neither of these players are really mining right now, and funny enough, I think this game has sort of swung back a little bit, not necessarily entirely, but like it's been a little bit in Serral's favor, because if you look, yeah, sure, ByuL's up in supply, but it's in workers, and when you are just long distance mining, having more workers really doesn't add up all that much more.
Yeah. It's funny, but it's true, and Serral has managed to make this game work with just basically a larger army for the last 5 minutes.
Infestors, energy-based units.
Yeah, definitely. Corrosive Bile, Infestor, definitely the better way to go. I mean, ByuL's lurkers were almost super good. I thought that if Serral did attack on that 4th base, I don't think he knew about the lurkers, and if they were on hold position, he would have gotten obliterated. But having repositioned so often, so many times, Serral knew exactly where they were going to be, or close enough to where they were going to be. Definitely can't afford to lose this. You could cancel it and still maybe be okay, but really prefer not to. But ByuL, he's going to lose a couple of units for it. He's trying to talk off to the right side. Finds the Vipers, but no Hydras over here to kill him. Lurkers find the Queens.
Oh, a little awkward. The Lurker is actually set up in a beautiful position to really make it difficult for Serral to push in over here. He does back up, though, because his army's not all together. This is actually becoming a really weird engagement for ByuL, because it's just bleeding out units, trying to attack in too many places at once. And again, killing off the expansion on the left is really nice, but it's just barely constantly losing, I think, a little bit, or a few too many units to make this worth it.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be difficult to take this base back against even a single Lurker. As you can see, he'd have to remember to bring an Overseer over and then not make that same mistake again when he F2s inevitably, as this game has been all over the place. I mean, a lot of players do unhotkey that F2, but you can still press it, and I think I've seen a lot of players who otherwise would never use it, in desperation, have like 6 observers on the front line, you know?
Yeah,
one explanation
that
for that.
one Lurker gets that hatchery solo, but doesn't quite kill it.
Yeah. Nicely done, nicely taken care of, but as I said, ByuL might be able to send another one over soon. Or, well, sooner or later. But he might just die before then. It might not be about the economy, but rather that Serral is just up 50 army supply.
Oh, good fungals coming down once again. Serral looking so close to bringing this back from the edge of defeat multiple times in this series. Losing some of the infestors, and there it is. GG gets called. We're going to an ace match, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy.
Zombie Girl's like, oh boy, this is what I wished for in my dreams. Santa's rewarding me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's pretty cool though to see it back and forth. I mean, I think Belshir Vestige was where I saw Serral for the first time against Jadon like 4 years ago. Do a sick ZvZ comeback and take a game off of, at the time, a ZvZ master. So it's nice. I'm tying up a little package. I'm ending where I began or something like that. I don't know. I'm going to go to a break. It is the last game in the series. It's been a pretty good ZvZ. Let me see what happens in Newkirk Precinct. In the bottom left is the red Zerg. It is ByuL.
And in the bottom right, we have the blue Zerg player. Give it up for Serral. The crazy comeback that last game.
Yeah, that was such a long game. I kind of forget where they had leads at different points in time, right? Like there was Serral had the information on the Mutas, we had the Carapace. Serral also had the faster third for a while and successfully deflected that whole Ling attack thing. And then ByuL had the lead in Mutas for so flippin' long. Thought that would get him the win. And Serral just powered through with the better, bigger army.
The only stage of ZvZ we did not see in that last game was anything beyond like Viper hype tech. We didn't see Broodlords or Ultras, but we saw Ling Bling Wars. We saw the Roach versus Roach. We saw it move into Roach Ravager. We saw it move into Mutas. We saw it transition out from Mutas into Infestors, plus and then moving into Hydras, like Lurkers. We saw everything in that last ZvZ, which is a crazy rarity, because oftentimes it doesn't get past the second stage with a Roach Ravager.
Yeah, it mostly just stays around there. Maybe it goes into Mutas for a while, but more as a pit stop and then back into the Roaches. So it was like truly a very, very good ZvZ, and these guys are obviously well matched for each other, which is definitely kudos to Serral, who is still, I mean, I think everyone knows that name by now, but is still definitely an up-and-comer compared to ByuL, who, yeah, people still argue about who's the best Zerg in the world, but everyone knows ByuL.
Okay, well, we did have a hatch first versus a pool first. Not a huge difference, but it does give you that slight economic edge if your name is ByuL, just because your opponent doesn't really have an early enough pool to actually put on enough pressure to make you sweat it out at all. But you got a slightly faster economy going, you have slightly more larvae to work with. It just works out a little bit better.
Well, this Family Nest is really quick. There's been nothing to say that anything suspicious is going on. When it's this quick, it kind of feels like they want to be aggressive, but it can just be a defensive structure.
Yeah, also, Serral trying to dodge some of those overlords with these two Zerglings. I definitely think he's trying to get aggressive, but ByuL spots him out with his own 4 Zerglings. Well done.
Well, Serral might have gotten the Bailey Nest pretty early, but ByuL wasn't too far behind, so if there is any aggression, it'll be matched eventually. Newkirk does usually get to the Ling-Baneling wars around the thirds being taken, so that's why I was like, that Bailey Nest is like a little bit too early not to wonder about it from Serral, but he's really not dedicating anything. I mean, third base is on the way for him, and he was making drones as well as Lings.
Yep, seems like that's going to be the case. Certain speed kicks in a little bit earlier on for Serral, since he did go for the pool first. So he gets a full scout of everything that's going on inside the main base. Sees, okay, your spine pool's still jiggling a little bit, just pulsating a little bit more than you oftentimes see, so I know you're also getting at Zergling speed, sees the Baneling Nest, and it's probably going to be able to assume that, well, I was going to say assume that third expansion was coming down sometime soon, but we do have an Evo chamber coming up, and, okay, there's the drone.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as well. The third base is now pretty delayed, about half a hatchery behind, where I thought it was going to be pretty even. Usually it's pretty even. The evolution chamber and the lack of Baneling Nests really mixes things up. Serral adds on a roach worm pretty quick, so they're both kind of agreeing to skip the Ling-Baneling wars, I suppose. ByuL, while he doesn't have a roach warren yet, is going to go into roaches. Oh no, he got a Baneling Nest. I'm crazy, but he is going to go into roaches, and just got the evolution chamber first.
Yeah, maybe they're just saying, you know what, we played every other stage of ZvZ, let's just go up to Hive Tech.
You know what, we didn't get to Broodlords. Let's both go to Broodlords and break the game. That's what they're saying.
Ultra versus Ultra, that's the funnest one.
That's what Zombie Grub wants.
With queens behind them to transfuse.
Yes. Exactly.
It's the dream, Zombie Grub, that's the dream.
Yeah, it's my dream right now. Thank you to Kai Mag 12 for the 16-month resub. Time flies if you're watching a good ZvZ. Yeah, sure. Time to tell resub for 34 months as well. For that last game, really got heated, so thank you for that.
If my name was Rifkin, I would have a really good pun with something around the Zerg player time and Muta's flying, something like that, but I'm not Rifkin.
Even he would have to stretch a little bit. But you know what I'm watching here? I'm looking at Serral's lack of drones at his third base. I'm looking at his lack of a lair, and it really is ending where he began, Fear Dragon. It's like Cactus Valley all over again. Serral's gonna all in, although not this time with +1 Carapace, but just with the good old basic Ling Roach army.
Yeah, Baneling moving across the map. The Suicide Scout Baneling from ByuL sees all of the roaches and these Ravagers being made, so there's going to be nothing except for units being made from ByuL. And ByuL is even evacuating his drones because he realizes, yep, I just got to keep these alive, and if I can keep the third expansion alive as well, I'm going to be at a really nice advantage.
It's going to be tough. Serral, like, that game at Cactus Valley, he didn't have an army supply lead, or not really much of one. This one, he was up 20 to begin with, now up 40. He might just be able to steamroll and close it out.
Also a missile attack, helpful, but is it going to be that helpful? The Queens are definitely adding in some extra DPS as well, and this is taking a surprisingly good engagement, but I'm worried that the reinforcements are not going to be enough.
Yeah, he lost his third. He's going to start losing drones here. ByuL loses, pretty sure. 13 more roaches are on the way, but they're going to be coming out entirely from the main base, it looks like. Some from the third base, so they're going to get taken out.
Yeah, even the larva's getting target fired down. When you're on 2 bases, losing a larva is never a spot you want to be in, but 18 workers have already fallen. Even if every single unit over here got cleaned up, I think that ByuL still is just too far behind now.
Well, super long best of 5 ends with an all-in that works as soon as it runs over to the other side of the map.
Was that the only all-in in this entire best of 5 that worked? Because there were 4 or 5 all-ins, or like big attacks that were supposed to end the game that were pretty committed, and none of them worked. But only the last one worked.
That you might be right, but my memory's a little foggy. So I know that one worked, and it worked really quickly. No doubt about it.
Okay, well, that does mean that again, it wasn't the entire end of the group, but it does mean that Serral moves on to the winners match, a face-off versus Snoot, and ByuL goes down to the losers match to face off in another ZvZ, if he didn't get enough of it already, against Snoot.
It's exactly...
Did I say Snoot twice?
Did you? I thought... Well, Serral goes on to face...
Neeb.
Neeb. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
You might have said Snoot
ByuL
twice.
faces Snoot.
Yeah. Anyways, it's the exact opposite of the end of the group. I mean, it really is still just the beginning. This just determines where they both lead into. So at least 3 more best of Fs in this group. And more groups after this. I think the other groups are starting in an hour regardless, though. So we're going to have to start really mixing and matching. But that's for later. Fear Dragon, I believe that you are done helping me today. So you can do your shout-outs if you'd like.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun because I was literally just laying in bed with you on my Chromecast watching some of the games earlier. So it's nice. It's also nice for me to be able to cast because my XSplit is broken. I haven't been able to like cast literally anything, and I'm afraid I don't know when that's going to happen. So whenever I do to get that fixed up, you can check me out at FearDragon64. And the biggest thing I would say is if you guys want to see interviews, I've been uploading interviews. I've done like 16 of them from DreamHack Austin. It's FearDragon64 on YouTube. I've done like Kelazor, Snoot, Jon Snow, Optimus, Game Time, Hearthstone, Peely Peely, M Canning, like a bunch of people. I didn't do Zombie Grub. Zombie Grub was too cool.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly what you say.
Yeah, I think you're going to be joined by Rifkin now, right?
Yeah, I try to get in touch with them. I'm also getting reports of stuff, so I'll come back as soon as I got more information. Thanks so much for helping me while you could, Fear Dragon. I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
A little awkward. Yeah, Rifkin is hopefully joining, but he is not responded, so... Yeah. Well, I get this sorted out. I'm gonna go to a break anyways, so be back as soon as I have more info.